Hello, welcome back to the third video of 24th module on Skills of School Counselor, Evaluating Skills. The learning objectives of this video are become more aware of the guiding principles and ethical guidelines while conducting evaluations and develop sensitivity towards the implications regarding evaluation skills in a school counselor. Skills requirement for a school counselor. A school counselor is expected to have better knowledge in the field of research, but many of them do not conduct or publish research, except that of excellent research in the schools. Yet, they do design and implement program interventions. Through improved knowledge in evaluation practices and techniques, the counselor will be better equipped in and can make them more effective. To conduct an evaluation effectively, the counselor is recommended to possess the following skills. First is research skill. A counselor should be able to find information that are needed for the counseling practices and should be able to evaluate effectively. This includes updating oneself on the current trends, exploring what other solutions have been tested, referring to articles, journals, and other relevant materials for the information on researches on the effective practices. Compassion. Counselors should be able to be sympathetic as well as empathetic towards the students' pain and other problems. Essential quality is the desire to help and the ability to put the students at ease and make them feel comfortable. Observational skills. A counselor should be well trained in conducting interviews, observe specific behaviors to better understand and help the student. This includes observing the facial expression, body language, and social interactions to determine the attitude and the behavior of the students. Observation skill is required from the beginning of an assessment to the end of an evaluation. Interpersonal skills. As a counselor is required to work with different groups of people, including students and colleagues, it is important that he or she possesses adequate interpersonal skills. This skill helps the counselor to be more aware of the students' reaction and the result behind them. It also helps in persuading a student to cooperate with the counseling program. Accessibility and authenticity. A counselor should be approachable to gain the trust of the student, and at the same time the counselor should exhibit genuine concern to the student's difficulties. This skill helps in getting the student to participate in the interventions and any other changes brought in for the effective results. Flexibility. Counselors should be flexible enough to understand and accept different views and the possible changes. Such flexibility enables a counselor to be open-minded over various options in the planning and intervention, and also to make any needed changes whenever required. Self-reflection is also an important for a counselor to be able to look within self and explore. These skills enable the counselor to understand own deficits and better equip oneself. Reasoning skills. This skill enables the counselor to see the subtle connection between problems, to have a broader view over human behaviors and generalize them when needed. Computer skills. This skill facilitates the counselor to maintain notes, reports, and data, which also helps in a lot in the evaluation process. The American School Counselor Association specifies certain medical standards that a counselor has to adhere while conducting an evaluation process. First is considering the possible bias and cultural sensitivity. A counselor is to utilize only tests and assessments that are valid and reliable. Second, professional standards should be adhered while selecting, administering, and interpreting assessment measures. It should be within the appropriate limit of practice of a licensed, certified, and competent school counselor. A counselor should follow confidentiality guidelines while utilizing paper or electronic evaluative or assessment instruments and the program. Multiple data points should be utilized when it is possible to promote students' well-being by providing the students and families with information that is accurate, objective, and concise. Interpretation of the nature, reasons, outcomes, and possible effects of the assessment measures should be provided in the language that is familiar to the students and the parents or the guardians. The use of assessment results and interpretation should be monitored, and if needed, responsible steps should be taken to avoid misuse of the information. Caution must be practiced when assessment techniques are used to make evaluations and interpret the performance among the population that is not included in the norm group on which an instrument is standardized. The school counselor should conduct counseling program assessment to determine the effectiveness of the activities supporting students' academic, career, and social or emotional development through accountability measures, especially examining the efforts to close gaps between information opportunities and attainment. Implications for the school counselors. As we have seen earlier, evaluations done in the counseling practice helps in improving the effectiveness of client services and also to enhance the professional identity of the counselors. In spite of its benefits, there are many barriers and challenges in conducting an evaluation. One such barrier is that the lack of appropriate literature related to program evaluation. Literatures that are available were developed for the purpose of large-scale organizational evaluations, which are usually done by professional evaluators. Such models and practices are difficult to be used by the counseling practitioners in their regular practice. The second barrier is the need for counselors to be well experienced or trained in research methods, especially in question formulation, data collection, and selection of suitable analysis. As counselors receive very little training in this area, they lack confidence in conducting evaluations. The third barrier is that evaluation practices are considered to be time-consuming and difficult, which may discourage a counselor who is trying to conduct evaluations for the first time. But if the counselor is made to collaborate with other professionals in conducting the evaluation, they may be able to implement evaluations effectively and disseminate the results in an effective manner. Also, collaboration helps counselors to obtain support and mentoring. The fourth barrier in conducting evaluation is the complex and dynamic nature of the counseling process itself. Many times, counseling seems to be of immeasurable nature, making an effective, straightforward evaluation very difficult. These complexities can be addressed by designing interventions and setting goals that are measurable, such as using more specific and operationalized definitions and standardized measures to assess improvement of the client. Conclusion: in the current scenario, counseling practices are receiving more persistence and ongoing goals for outcomes research and accountability. Due to this, program evaluations have become more important in counseling professions. Accordingly, it is important for the counselors to actively learn new evaluation methods to improve their counseling practices and professional identity. Evaluation skills are still evolving in the counseling professions, and that the counselors are beginning to recognize the benefits of evaluations. Even if the school counselors are not interested in contributing to the researchers, evaluation can add value to their routine practices. Evaluations may be a newly evolving standard of practice in counseling, but its benefits are huge. as however skilled the counselor may be in counseling, without evaluation, he or she will not be able to know the effectiveness of their practices. Thus, to make oneself more savvy, competent, and confident, the counselors should increase their knowledge about evaluation skills. I hope the module has given an understanding about evaluation skills of a school counselor. Thank you.